I'm Matt at Nexus Baseball, and this is episode 51 of the Tommy John Epidemic. This series is a YouTube read of content from the book Plague of the Gods, an outsider's perspective on baseball's Tommy John Epidemic, which is available now on Amazon. I decided to put this content on YouTube to make the material as accessible as possible. This series examines the science behind the most superhuman action the human body can produce, accelerating a baseball up to 100 miles per hour. Another function of standardization and administration of a youth standards program will be the deployment of modern technology to the lower levels. By creating useful apps that are easily accessible through smartphones, coaches could make use of modern techniques. These include comparison slow-motion photography to see more than you can with the naked eye, and to auto-calculate good usage guidelines based on a number of factors, quickly, individually, and easily, all matching them with an online player profile. Costs would be minimal to MLB and the development leagues to provide this technology in relation to the benefit to child safety, better skills development, and brand awareness. The key to effectiveness will be an intuitive interface and ease of use by non-expert coaches. Along with safety guidelines and linear progression of pitching distance, the system can also cover safe basic progression of pitch development, each level offering training in a different pitch concept that kids can attempt and practice. The goal being to understand the classification of different pitches, the comprehension of their basic techniques, as well as potential safety concerns. It's better to teach the concepts of each pitch type so young pitchers can become aware of them and learn to throw them safely, rather than them experimenting themselves or based on erroneous information from friends or the internet that may end up hurting them. The pitch to begin with would be the basic fastball to understand the spin of the ball and its effect on movement. Next would be change-ups that allow for change of speed. Finally, breaking balls would be introduced in the mid-teens, including curveballs as well as sliders. These pitches requiring better arm control to safely turn and decelerate the arm. A focus on throwing consistent strikes is also important at the lower levels, as the primary reason misses occur is a lack of balance or coordination. This is most true at the younger ages when kids are developing into their bodies. The ability for them to balance their body to achieve control trains the body to achieve that same balance as the velocity and athleticism increases. If a child is missing the zone and inconsistent, the first place to look is the physiology. Do they have the muscular strength to support the body in a balanced way while completing the motion? Or are they unable to support themselves, causing balance issues, or attempting to overcome a deficit in range of motion or muscular control? These issues need to be addressed, and a good indicator of any issues should be the assessments mentioned, as well as the ability for the young pitcher to repeat the motion consistently. It is also important that parents are educated about the safety risks and have a level of buy-in with the system as well. Parents want to see their children succeed, and parental pressure can be a significant factor in a child's baseball career. Parents need to feel assured that the system will allow their child the opportunities to succeed safely. Parents need to understand that the best way for that to occur is for a child to prevent injury, to allow for a long career in the sport. The primary entry point to the professional ranks, the baseball draft, will also benefit from these changes. By ensuring fundamentally sound recruits trained in safe methods with detailed skills and usage histories, teams that draft talent will be more likely to know what they're getting and less likely to miss on picks. Baseball would do well to institute a combine system similar to that used in professional football to allow for in-depth evaluation of both performance and safety skills rather than relying on private scouting events. The private events, if performed as part of the overall system, can provide better exposure for kids from small markets, particularly to colleges and professional scouts. They can be certified as approved by the league for their adherence to best practices. Performance in private showcase events and combines, as well as individual team and scouting and on-field performance, could create a list of draft candidates for the professional combine hosted by Major League Baseball. Football does a fantastic job of developing fan interest in the recruiting process, and although very different due to the vastly longer length of time before fans will see the prospects in the majors, can serve evaluation and media functions. Baseball scouting departments can work with the league to provide skills demonstrations that best simulate what scouts look for in prospects to evaluate based on direct comparison. Leagues across the country are quite different in their focus and strengths and weaknesses, making draft choices frequently challenging. The more comparative information, the better. Additionally, young baseball stars are being brought up at younger and younger ages to the major leagues, with more opportunity existing to market these phenoms in the draft process. It is again important to emphasize that access to the MLB draft system is the carrot to provide for widespread acceptance. After a phasing in period, teams would only be allowed to draft from that system, or as a penalty for youth athlete non-compliance, require candidates to apply for a potential senior draft for those over 24 years of age. This too would result in a change in the draft that would also provide an alternative path to entry to allow late bloomers or those that transition to the sport later in their athletic career a legitimate opportunity to have a chance at professional play. Currently, these opportunities are minimal at best, with very few undrafted free agents coming out of primarily independent baseball. The draft as it currently exists gives no incentive to recruit undrafted free agents in comparison to draftees that are cheap and controllable assets. Baseball should do a better job of encouraging top athletes to transition to the sport from other sports, as well as understanding that different individuals will hit their athletic peak later in their life than others. In my personal situation, having transitioned from the sport of mixed martial arts, there were no realistic paths for someone in their mid-20s or beyond to transition into competitive play. Even top athletes from other sports, such as Tim Tebow, are looked at as extreme long shots due to the perceived difficulty of skill building in the sport. I would argue that this perceived challenge highlights how little is currently understood about the anatomical and physical processes that allow players to develop baseball proficiency. There is the thought that it takes a natural development process from age 8 to 24, the average age of major leaguers leaving the minors and entering the majors, to teach those skills. There is no doubt that baseball is an incredibly challenging sport to play and learn. But because the hows have been historically so misunderstood, the process of development often comes down more to natural ability coupled with refinement, rather than the ability to teach the fundamental skills themselves. This is further reinforced by the often drastic decrease in performance that occur as players age. If a pitcher sees a decrease in velocity, often both they and the trainers will say they are off, but cannot create a plan of action to solve the situation. Rather, they wait until it resolves itself. Usually natural aging is made the culprit rather than an unresolved weakness in one part of the pitching chain that needs to be addressed. Several pitchers in recent years have bucked this trend, notably Fernando Rodney, who at 42 years of age has maintained his average fastball velocity very consistently. He's played in 17 major league seasons and was still able to hit 99 miles per hour in 2019. Although players may have bodies that age at different rates, it is most likely the strength of the chain itself breaking down rather than the overall weakness of the player themselves due to age. At a basic level, baseball should be played for the love of the game and for fun. Without safety, the game can become one of overcoming pain or injury. Kids shouldn't have to get their parents to pay professional instructors hundreds of dollars a week to learn to throw the baseball safely. Unfortunately, that is often the case, with a lack of knowledge at the lowest levels of baseball. This can be rectified by democratizing the required knowledge regarding safety and disseminating it as efficiently as possible to all levels of the game. This will ideally prevent thousands of potential injuries to kids just looking to play the game they love. Join me for episode 52 next week. Remember, if you like the content, please like and subscribe. Your support makes this work possible. Also, if you want to jump ahead, please consider picking up the book on Amazon from the link in the description below. See you next week.